So today I'm sitting here with Mr. Charl Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs is the CEO and founder of Pangela Group and Kwan. Mr. Jacobs, how are you doing today?
All right, and you?
I'm doing very well.
That's good.
So Mr. Jacobs, I know that you are very passionate about rugby, and not only are you passionate about it and a fan of it, but you also coach the sport. Can you please tell us, how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your team and you?
Yeah, so it was an interesting thing to digest in the beginning. I think, you know, the reality only really set in when the president called a lockdown. And there were rumors before that we won't be able to play this season, which for me, you know, bears quite a lot of significance with regards to the matrics. You know, I coach at high school level, and you know, obviously a big dream of most students that play rugby is to play in their matric year, you know, the final years, a lot of memories. I mean, even, you know, if you talk to international rugby players, it's the year that they remember most fondly. So, you know, that was the saddest thing for me, is not having those guys fulfill probably a dream of theirs. And then obviously the repercussions of not having schoolboy rugby this year is going to lead to probably missing talent identification, you know, because there was no Craven Week, there was no high school rugby games. And so there's certainly going to be a gap in the sport for youngsters coming through now that possibly weren't identified this year as talents. And, you know, historically you could probably argue and say, but, you know, some of these kids are identified at under 15, 16, 17 level already. But the other side to it is that you've got such a massive growth spurt from 17, 18, 19 years old. You know, the 17-year-old me and the 19-year-old me was a complete different person. You know, I think I picked up like 23 kilos of muscle in that 2 or 3 year period. So I feel very sorry for the guys that haven't been identified at an earlier age. And it will be interesting to see what SARU and other international unions put together to ensure that this gap is now mitigated, and that people can actually come through the ranks as new talent.
Okay, that's very interesting. So they're not yet playing it at the school that you're coaching?
No, so schoolboy rugby is not playing yet at all in the country. They've started with under 21 and a version of Super Rugby. And so the outlines right now is that only professionals can play.
Okay, that must be very hard for the boys.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously watching it again, you obviously get the feeling back of wanting to get onto the field. But it's just something that they obviously have to process. And you know, I in the beginning of the season wrote all the guys that I'm involved with a letter just saying, you know, that this is a very good opportunity to train. And just train and just focus on your skill set and get stronger and fitter and bigger and whatever else you need as a physical attribute to play rugby. And it will most likely end up sorting out the best from the rest. Instead of just creating this generic version of fitness, guys are now able to actually focus on themselves.